My name is Jenny Palmer and this is my homeostasis video on blue whale thermoregulation. Homeostasis is an organism's ability to regulate a stable internal equilibrium between independent changing external conditions. This is done by a system of feedback controls to stabilize health and functioning. Thermoregulation is the maintenance of an organism's internal body temperature with certain boundaries by physiological processes while dealing with external temperature changes. If organisms living in unsuitable waters don't regulate efficiently, they will most likely become weak and die. They won't have the optimum temperature to be able to undergo essential processes within the body for normal bodily functions such as movement, enzyme production, and various other metabolic activities. Migrating organisms need to be able to tolerate different temperature conditions to find food successfully and continue to reproduce. The mammal I will be discussing is the blue whale, the largest creature on Earth. These whales migrate in the winter towards the warmer areas of the globe for feeding and reproduction purposes, therefore must be able to endure both climate ranges from icy waters to warm. Its large size can be related to its need to maintain a constant body temperature, which is thermally insulated by blubber. In the feedback system, the change in temperature is the stimulator, which is registered through a nerve pulse by the whale's hypothalamus as the detector. This is then signaled to the brain, which will either send blood to the extremities such as the dorsal fin or flippers for cooling, or retract their blood back inside the vascularized adipose layer of fat and connective tissue, or more commonly known as blubber. This is the response to stabilize the whale's body temperature to around 37 degrees Celsius. The extremities have near to none blubber on them and are rich in blood flow. When cold water washes over them, heat is easily disposed of when the crisscross blood vessels expand in diameter around the periphery, called vasodilation. The rest of the whale's body surface can also be used as a cooling area. When the body senses a change in the temperature of the core, sensory nerves alert the hypothalamus to signal neurons to do something about the issue, for example, the release of adrenaline. In a situation where the blue whale is trying to conserve its heat, tiny muscles restrict the blood vessel diameter and redirect the blood flow from the veins around the blubber towards the whale's core, a process called vasoconstriction. This is done through a countercurrent system of parallel arteries. In this mechanism, warm arterial blood leaving the heart can transfer heat to the returning venous blood from its fins and flippers to maintain a constant temperature. This system can also work in the opposite when cooling is necessary. However, as blue whales are migratory, they can often experience major water to temperature changes during deep diving for food, ranging from 29 to 15 degrees Celsius waters almost 100 meters down, lasting from 10 to 20 minutes each. When the whales dive deep, a conflict arises between oxygen conservation and heat dissipation. This occurs as a diving submergence response, resulting in the dramatic redistribution of blood flow, especially servicing the lungs, brain, and heart, and also sometimes causing apnea and bradycardia. While these respiratory and cardiovascular adjustments are aiding oxygen conservation, they run the risk of compromising the thermoregulatory cooling function of blood flow to peripheral sites, such as the fin. The production of heat in the metabolically active centers and the extremities are weakened during submergence, therefore the whales must find sufficient quality food to counteract the energy loss. Intake imbalances can result in altered buoyancy, a depletion of blubber, and a lack of locomotion, which leads to less regular feeding dives and therefore no food and energy for carrying out life processes such as movement and other homeostatic responses. However, after vigorous muscular activity, without allowing the whale to cool down by minimizing convective heat flow via the circulatory system, the whale could overheat. By the whale being able to physiologically adapt to diving deep into cold waters, they have more of a chance of finding large amounts of moving krill at once to supply itself and often offspring with sufficient food to continue living. This technique also allows the blue whale to cool itself down to avoid overheating in the warmer surface temperature. This is the adaptive advantage of how the whale can regulate its temperature in extreme situations.